Hello, sports fans. It is Monday, May the 60th, 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Hope you guys had a nice weekend. Hope you caught some of the games over the weekend. I want to start with the NBA. Specifically, I want to start with the Brooklyn Nets, who inexplicably lost Game 7 in their building on Saturday night to a depleted Chicago Bull team. A horrible loss by the Brooklyn Nets. Chicago came limping into this game. Derrick Rose is out. He's their superstar. Dang couldn't play because he was sick. He was in the hospital getting a spinal tap. Noah's out there limping around. The whole Bull roster is depleted with the flu. Yet the Nets let the Bulls walk into their brand new Barclays Center and pushed them around. The Bulls had a 17-point lead at the half. How is that possible? Joe Johnson, where were you the other day? I know you were banged up, but come on. So was everyone on the floor. Joe Johnson, what did he shoot the other day? 2 for 14? This guy gets superstar money. This is the problem I have with Joe Johnson. He does some nice things. He's a good player. He can hit some big shots. Too many of these games in his past. Too many of these 2 for 14 games. Just like when he was in with Atlanta. Too many of these games where he's invisible. Where he'll shoot 0 for 9 in a big spot. Joe Johnson, to me, is not even close to being a superstar, yet he makes superstar money. Then you got Brook Lopez. He's a finesse player. He needs to get tougher. Noah, who's out there playing hurt, pushed Lopez around all over the place. Then you have Darren Williams. Darren Williams is supposed to be the superstar of the team. I mean, he's another one that gets lost in these games. You got Gerald Wallace throwing bricks up left and right. Chris Humphries is lost on the bench. Complete mess for Brooklyn, and you see, of course, PJ Carlesimo, his job. He won't be back next year, and rightfully so. The Nets need a big-time coach. Maybe they go after Phil Jackson. I don't know if Phil Jackson wants to coach this bunch. Phil Jackson probably wants to coach the Clippers or some team like that. But the Nets need a complete overhaul here. And I don't know how you improve this, because the Nets are in a spot now where they're a good team, not even close to being an elite team, but they're kind of in that middle of the pack of the NBA. That is a terrible spot to be in the NBA. You want to be very elite or at the bottom so you can regroup, get some maybe high draft picks for the lottery. You don't want to sit in that middle spot. The Atlanta Hawks are a perfect example. They've been sitting in those 4 or 5 positions for about 10 years now, can't move up or down. The Nets, to me, need at least 2 good players. And where are these players going to come from? I mean, you can't, and you also can't move some of these contracts. How are you going to get rid of Joe Johnson if you want to trade him? You couldn't trade him if you tried with his contract. What an awful, awful loss by the Nets. They have a brand new building, and they let the Bulls come in there and push them around. The Bulls shot almost 50% on the road in this game, while the Nets at home shot 40%. Awful, awful, awful loss by Brooklyn. I cannot believe they lost that game and let Chicago push them around, especially in the second quarter, where the Bulls went on a huge run, made the game 17 points at the half. From there, the Nets were basically out of it. They tried to rally, but they were too far behind. Now, give the Bulls all sorts of credit. I mentioned their depleted roster. No Derrick Rose the whole year. Noah's out there playing on one leg, giving you everything he's got. Coach Thibodeau is a tremendous coach, gets everything out of his players. Dang didn't even play. The whole roster is sick, including Nate Robinson. And the Bulls go on the road and win Game 7. Tremendous win by the Bulls. Great job by them. And an awful, awful, awful loss by the Brooklyn Nets. Also in your NBA, the Knicks on Friday, they did polish off the Celtics. Now the Knicks came back yesterday and opened up their series against Indiana because Indiana had polished off Atlanta. Also on Friday, so Game 1 yesterday in the Garden, Indiana goes into Madison Square Garden and beats the Knicks. So Indiana has a leg up in this series 1-0. I'll tell you, the Knicks looked like they were sleepwalking, like they were still in the Boston series. I mean, the Knicks looked like they were sleepwalking in this game. Looked like they had a hangover. I mean, Carmelo didn't shoot well. J.R. Smith didn't shoot well. And Indiana gets a game, and they steal a game. So the Knicks behind the 8 ball. Indiana has home court. I expect this series to be a long series. I still think the Knicks are going to win this series, but nice win by Indiana yesterday. Also yesterday, Oklahoma City and Memphis opened up their series because Oklahoma City polished off Houston and Memphis knocked out the Clippers. I'll tell you, what a terrible end to the season for the Clippers. I mean, Blake Griffin hurt the last couple of games. Very disappointing. I would expect Del Negro for the Clippers to be fired. Look for the Clippers to go after someone like Phil Jackson. The Clippers need a big, strong coach. Vinny Del Negro's got to go. The Clippers out in the first round. Terrible, terrible performance by them. So Oklahoma City yesterday opened up at home against Memphis in Game 1. Memphis was leading most of this game, but Oklahoma City pulls it out at the end. Oklahoma City actually up 3 points as time is running out. They foul a Memphis player shooting a three-pointer. So Memphis, with less than 2 seconds left, is down 3 points with 3 free throws. They missed the first free throw, hit the second, intentionally missed the third. Rebound gets tapped around, clock runs out, Oklahoma City escapes. I'll tell you, Oklahoma City, nice job coming back yesterday, but they are not the same team without Westbrook. To me, they are not a championship team without Westbrook. They do get the win yesterday. So that was some of your NBA from over the weekend. As far as your NHL, we'll start on Friday. On Friday, at this time, Montreal beat Ottawa. At that point, even the series 1-1. The Islanders had a nice win in Pittsburgh. That had even that series 1-1. Chicago beat Minnesota on Friday. That made that series 2-0 Chicago. And San Jose on Friday beat Vancouver. That made that series 2-0. Then on Saturday, Washington beat the Rangers in overtime 1-0. That made it 2-0. Washington Rangers have a tough time scoring. We know that. Toronto evened up their series with Boston 1-1. Anaheim went ahead of Detroit 2-1, and LA got a win, but St. Louis still leads the series 2-1. Now, yesterday, Sunday, the Penguins went back on top in the series as they beat the Islanders in the Coliseum in overtime, a very back-and-forth game. Islanders led 2-0. Pittsburgh led 4-2. And then the Islanders tie it at 4. Pittsburgh wins in overtime, so 2-1 Penguins right now. Also yesterday, Minnesota wins in overtime. They get a game. Chicago still leads the series 2-1. Ottawa beats Montreal yesterday, so Ottawa goes up 2-1. A million fights in that game. And San Jose beats Vancouver. San Jose's up 3-0. Nice job by Vancouver again. I mean, Vancouver did not address their goalie situation all year, and once again, it's come back to bite them. They have now pulled Luongo. They got Schneider in net. He didn't look good. 3-0 San Jose, another lost year for Vancouver in the playoffs. So that's kind of where you are in your NHL over the weekend. As far as what happened in Major League Baseball, Yankees took 2 of 3 from Oakland. Cleveland took 2 of 3 from Minnesota. Seattle took 2 of 3 from Toronto, although Toronto did win on Sunday. Mets and Atlanta split 2 games. 1 game was rained out. Washington took 2 of 3 from Philadelphia. Kansas City won the first 2 games of their series. Game 3 is today because 1 game was rained out. St. Louis swept 4 games from Milwaukee. St. Louis continues to pitch well, continues to play well. Milwaukee's up and down. They couldn't win a game, then they couldn't lose. Now they can't win again. So that was the St. Louis-Milwaukee series. Cincinnati swept the hapless Cubs. Philadelphia and Miami split 4 games. I thought maybe Philadelphia would get fat on Miami. They didn't. Even worse news, Doc Holliday going for a shoulder exam. He looks like he's got some sort of shoulder problems. I'm really worried about Doc Holliday. One of my favorite pitchers. You'll love to see him pitching well. He's really struggling. I think something's wrong with his shoulder. We'll keep an eye on that. Texas swept Boston, so Texas dusted Boston over the weekend. Darvish, 14 strikeouts yesterday. Baltimore took 3 or 4 from the hapless Angels. The Angels can't get out of their own way. Detroit swept Houston in a 4-game series. No surprise there. Houston's one of the worst teams in baseball. San Diego took 2 or 3 from Arizona. Tampa Bay took 2 or 3 out in Colorado. And San Francisco swept the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going the other way fast. I mean, the Dodgers are playing lousy ball. They finally got H. Ramirez back off the DL. He now goes back on the DL. What, he played 2 games? He's already back on the DL. Lilly pitched 1 game. He's now back on the DL. Still no Greinke. Billingsley out for the year. Kemp's only got 1 home run. Ethier looks lost at the plate. A complete mess in Dodgerland. They had such high hopes for this year. They are going the other way fast. It's a long season. Don't like what I see at all from the Dodgers. So that's kind of where you are as far as your Major League Baseball. As far as the Kentucky Derby in the rain, Orb won. He looks like he could be a really, really nice horse. We'll see him in 2 weeks at the Preakness. As far as the fight the other night, Mayweather-Guerrero. Listen, Mayweather won. He won 9-3 on all the cards. I was hoping it would be a little closer. It wasn't. I thought the cards had it right, 9-3. You could have even made it 10-2. Mayweather dominated the fight. Guerrero not in his league at all. I mean, here's the thing. Is there anyone out there for Mayweather to fight? And if there is he going to fight them? We need Mayweather fighting top competition. I mean, I don't want to see Mayweather against Alexander. I don't want to see Mayweather against Garcia. I mean, all these opponents named, I don't want to see these fights. To me, the only fight I wanted to see in the past was Mayweather-Pacquiao. That never happened for a billion reasons. Now the fight I want to see is Mayweather-Broner. But that's never going to happen because Broner now says him and Mayweather are good friends. They're not going to fight. So, I mean, there are so little good elite fighters now. I mean, I cannot continue to watch these pay-per-views where it's just one-sided. How boring are these pay-per-views? How boring was that Mayweather-Guerrero fight the other day? Painful. And Guerrero gives you good effort. He's a B fighter. I mean, the only thing we're hoping for now is Mayweather gets old so he comes back to the pack. But against these fighters, he's still so good. He can win 9 rounds to 3. I mean, we need Mayweather against another elite fighter. That's why we wanted him against Pacquiao. And I'm sure he would have done well against Pacquiao. But the fight never happened. Now I'd like to see Mayweather against Broner. That's not going to happen because they're so-called good friends. What fight is there out here? I mean, he's going to fight who? Alexander? Alexander fought Timothy Bradley, one of the most boring fights in history. We want to see Alexander against Mayweather? I don't. You want to see Garcia against Mayweather? Garcia got hit by Judah. I mean, you want to tell me Alvarez? Alvarez didn't look so good against Trout. You want him against Mayweather? Yeah, it would be a spectacle, and you'd have the fans would be great on both sides, but how good of a fight would it be? There are no great fights. That's the problem with boxing. There's no depth in any division. It seems like maybe there's one guy in a select division here or there, and he's got no one to fight. He's got no one to fight, and when finally you have a mega fight, these guys don't want to fight each other. And then finally, when you actually got a mega fight, Mayweather and De La Hoya, it was one of the most boring fights in history. Put us to sleep. So boxing in really bad shape, I mean, but give Mayweather credit. He won. He looked good. There's no opponents out there. Boxing has no depth. And then when you finally think you're going to have a big fight, these guys don't want to fight each other. They want to fight lesser opponents. I mean, just awful. In these pay-per-views, $60 to watch this? I mean, come on. You can't watch $60 with Guerrero, who's a B fighter, anymore. I just can't do it anymore. It's ridiculous. So that was the fight. Mayweather gets the win there. As far as your schedule for tonight, you have 2 big games on the NBA schedule. You got Game 1 between Chicago and Miami. In Miami, now come on. Chicago's done a great job here. They beat Brooklyn. All the credit in the world. They have no chance against Miami. Absolutely no chance. I mean, Miami shouldn't even lose a game. At most, they should lose 1. And I know Chicago's going to give you an effort, and I'm going to root for them to play hard and stay in these games and make this series competitive. Miami should dust them out. I mean, Miami's had over a week off. Wade will be back. This should not be a competitive series. To be honest, I don't really love this series. I think Miami is head and shoulders over Chicago, especially with all the injuries for Chicago and all the illness. The other series tonight, Golden State at San Antonio. I think San Antonio is going to take care of Golden State. I just think they're better than Golden State. Now, Golden State at home will make it exciting. Their fans are great. But I think San Antonio should take care of the series. Don't love the Golden State-San Antonio series. Don't love the Chicago-Miami series. Nick-Indiana series looks interesting. Oklahoma City-Memphis series is interesting, although I don't like Oklahoma City without Westbrook anymore. So, I don't know about this round in the NBA. It's not captivating me. Of course, I'll watch it. Not captivating me as much as I had hoped. As far as your NHL tonight, Boston at Toronto, that's Game 3. Series tied 1-1. You have Washington at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers. Washington up 2-0. You have Anaheim at Detroit. Anaheim is up 2-1. And you have St. Louis over at LA. St. Louis right now up 2-1. LA trying to even up the series. As far as your Major League Baseball tonight, you have the White Sox at Kansas City. Atlanta at Cincinnati. Oakland at Cleveland. Minnesota at Boston. Toronto at Tampa Bay. Texas at the Cubs, Arizona at the Dodgers, Miami at San Diego, and Philadelphia at San Francisco. You got some baseball. I mean, Atlanta-Cincinnati's a nice series. You got some decent series. I mean, you maybe want to keep an eye on that Philadelphia-San Francisco series. Not a great night in baseball, but you have some baseball nonetheless. So there you guys are. You guys are all caught up. Tomorrow what we're going to do is our weekly Major League Baseball State of the Union. Of course, we'll recap everything that went on in the sports world tonight. So you guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Enjoy the games tonight. You got a lot of games, NBA playoffs, NHL hockey playoffs, Major League Baseball. You got a lot to watch tonight. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, Tuesday. Take care, stay safe. Talk to you Tuesday.